Hello and welcome to the Laugh Track Podcast. I am Brand Michael Max, and today my guest is the one who I am the most honored to have had on this show. He was the second highest ranking student in his class. He was also for 11 years working for Rooster Teeth. You can now see him for Tales of the Stinky Dragon and Good Morning from Hell. Please welcome Chris Demarais.
Hello. Wow. You pulled my high school credentials.
we did a little bit of research. Well, listen, again, I grew up on Rooster Teeth, and you guys were a huge part of kind of shaping my humor, and is honestly the reason I got into doing my own production company. So, from just the bottom of my heart, really thank you. You were a huge part of inspiring me to do all this.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say. And I apologize for all of the bad influence I had.
No, it is funny because, I was probably 13, 14 when I kind of got into it. And having my parents be like, what the hell is he watching? Like, between the podcast or Achievement Hunter, it was quite interesting to them. But I think they kind of slowly caught on to, okay, this is just kind of guys hanging out, I guess.
Yeah.
So, one thing I am always curious about is, growing up, it seems like you guys were always either just recording or just always producing, like, some sort of content. But what was, like, an average day? Like, on, like, you'd come in, like, was it, hey, the first 3 hours of my job, I'm answering emails? Like, what's the part that wasn't seen online?
At Rooster Teeth, it kind of varied era to era, There, in the earlier days when I was working there at like 636, everyone kind of worked on every project. So it was more when Red versus Blue was being produced, everyone was working on Red versus Blue. Mm-hmm. So it was doing visual effects and sound design and stuff like that. And then whenever that was done, we would like move to shorts, and then then we'd all be working on shorts, and then there's a lot of that kind of stuff. And I think the other thing that wasn't as visible was like even some of the more commercial stuff, like I did a lot of GameStop commercials.
Oh, really?
Working on, the pre-order GameStop and you get this item. Like I did a lot of those, worked on a lot of those. And then I guess after, because I remember the first, like when I first started working there were times where there was like, oh, I didn't have anything to work on. Like there wasn't like anything in front of me. So then I'm like, oh, I need to make something. Because I didn't want to, this is like the first year I was working there. I was like, well, I don't want to, if they don't have anything for me to work on, because initially I was doing a lot more like editing and things, editing and helping out shoots. And then I was like, well, if I'm just sitting here and I'm not doing anything, then that's not a good job. So I should just start making some stuff. So that's whenever I started doing more writing and directing, because I was like, I got to make content.
Yeah.
So I just remember that realization is like, oh, no one has anything for me to work on. Okay, well, I got to make something for myself to work on.
Yeah. Now, you had said during the big shutdown stream that you thought like you were 6 months in and you're like, this could end at any second.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's that sentiment. I was like, this was really, I don't think people understood that there could be jobs on the internet. It wasn't as common of a thing. Mm-hmm. This is 2010, 2011, right? And yeah, I was at any given time, I was like, I wasn't counting on anything. I think it was also, it was just, you never knew. And then every year it just kept going.
Now, what would you say was like the first time that you kind of realized like, this is my job? Like how, like when you're like looking around, like was it a certain, like, when you're doing a bigger production or filming an RT short where you're like, I get to do this?
I don't know if there's a particular moment that was stood out as like this is. I was just viewing it moment to moment of like I want to work on something cool. How do I get the next cool thing made?
Mm-hmm.
And trying to make the best stuff possible. So it's what are we doing? Okay, what can I do to make it better? Because that's the part of the perfectionist part of me that is that exists. So I don't. It's what I did enjoy about working at Rooster Teeth is the variety of stuff that I got to work on. It was always something different. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it would be 1 week we're doing this, 1 week we're doing that. Even I mean, pretty much through the entire my life at Rooster Teeth, there were always so many different things going on. Even if I wasn't in a production, there was something happening a few, doors down, and I'd be peripherally involved, where I might be, oh hey, can you come be in this real quick? It'll only take like an hour. I'm like, okay, yeah, I have time I have an hour. And then also, so it's like you're just getting pulled into stuff, and you're around a lot of creative people constantly doing different creative things, and that's what I miss the most, is the people and just the vibrancy of creativity.
See, and that's one thing I was always curious about with that sort of production company is when you're doing like a 10 little roosters or so, is that something where like you have to put like your name in, or do they just come up and be like, hey, do you want to come like film this? Like, how does that process go of what shows you're involved in or which ones you weren't involved in?
Yeah, there's not a exact rhyme or reason to it. A lot of it would be, I mean, you could to some extent make your own opportunities if you want to, you try and get something made, and if you want to be in it, then you can put yourself in it, or you just find whoever is around. Casting at Rooster Teeth was an interesting thing because you have people in mind, but they also have their own responsibilities, right? So they're even within different departments, like, well, you could go do these other things, but you still have to do whatever your responsibilities are.
Yeah.
So sometimes agreeing to be in something is actually detrimental to what you need to do to get your job done, because you have your own. Because now you're just kind of taking on more work. Because you want to do something, but it's not exactly, it's still, it's all working towards the same goal. But you just have to make sure you get the stuff that you're responsible for. And then there was a level of, hey, are you free right now? Or hey, what are you doing Friday?
Something quick, yeah.
Yeah, and then also it's like sometimes you also say, hey, I can't do that. Sorry, So it's not like every time someone comes to you, you say, I said yes to stuff, because,
So going to go ahead.
Oh, another thing too is sometimes also wanting things to be good. Sometimes people be like, hey, could you be in this little video? And I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, okay, how can I make it better? So then I end up like workshopping it, trying to make it, because you want to put stuff out that's good.
Yeah. Now
so, I don't know if that answers your question, but it's just kind of like.
Absolutely, because this kind of relates to, so one day you're at work and you get notified you guys are making a feature film.
Mm-hmm.
What was the process of, one, you being in it, and then you're one of the writers and editors for it?
Well, so I think I'd been writing and making stuff at Rooster Teeth for a while, and had been pitching. I guess the one thing that people don't necessarily see is you think at Rooster Teeth you just got to make whatever you wanted to all the time. Everything I made, I would say I got a lot of stuff made at Rooster Teeth. I probably got made 10% of what I pitched, maybe 20% of what I pitched. I mean, there's so many projects and scripts and things that just were never made, and that's always the case with anything. I think you have at Rooster Teeth at least had a much higher ratio than most places, or but so I was always pitching things and writing things, and Matt and Bernie they had things that they wanted to make, and one of them was Laser Team, and they having written and pitched so many things. They're like, hey, we were wondering if you could take a first pass on the script and the treat, like, here's the idea, can you take a first pass on it? And so that me and Josh Flanagan kind of locked ourselves away for a month or two and took a first, worked on the script, and then we handed it over to Matt and Bernie, and so from that point, and that point on, it was their movie, where they rewrote lots and made it the way they wanted to make it, and then Matt directed it, and then again, it was one of those things where trying to include as many people, and Matt was like, hey, you want to do this part? I'm like, yeah, awesome, let's do it. Yeah. And that was a lot of fun being in it, But then when it came to the editing side, I mean, a movie is, made and remade in every stage of production, and the scripting and the production, and then editing. It's like the last stage. And there's a lot of went through. I think it was one of those things where I was busy with other projects, and then Matt was like, hey, like, I was wondering if you could take a look at like the opening scene. I just feel like that, the time, the pacing isn't quite right. And I was like, yeah, so I sat down and just spent a couple days like recutting it, and I was like, yeah, I think it works better now. And then I remember friend being like, oh, I think you did too good of a job on that edit. I think you're going to end up editing the movie now. And sure enough, Matt was like, hey, okay, so do you think you could come in and just keep working on it? I'm like, oh man, now I got to edit the whole movie.
Yeah.
But I do think that there was a lot of because I was so familiar with the project, and also had a good close relationship with Matt. We were able to really collaborate on the editing, to really kind of find new stuff and rework scenes that weren't working. I mean, there were sections where we rewrote certain parts of the scene, like one sides of conversations, like phone calls, where we like, oh, I don't think this is working, so let's rewrite it. We can't change these lines, but we can change these lines.
Yeah.
And so we had to rewrite scenes and reshoots to like rework characters and moments that were falling flat in post. So there's a lot of that. So it was it was a very involved post production process. So yeah.
Now, was there anything, whether it was Laser Team, Day 5, or any of your projects, that you had to fight to keep something either in the final cut or a script or so?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Yeah, there's always stuff you fight for. I mean, again, Laser Team, that was Matt and Bernie's, baby. So I was really more facilitating. So I didn't, there were things I would fight for because I thought they were like, oh, I think this is important, or, but in the end, like that you, in those, and on that project, I'm serving the director.
Yeah.
And then on stuff like, projects where I was the creative lead or one of the creative leads, then you get a lot more. I mean, then you're just fighting to try and then I feel like the biggest thing was just fighting to get more time or money or whatever to try and get the things that you're like, oh man, we really need this scene, or oh hey, we need more time in post.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I can't think of a particular thing that I died on a hill, but really it was just like trying to. I just thought it was like, and I understand it better now, having been independent, where independent now that we own our own time and our own companies, I understand better the balance of time and money because
Yeah.
before I was an employee and I was just like fighting to make the product the very best I could. And then, but that, I'd get notes like, oh, we can't spend this much time on editorial or XYZ. And I'd always fight to, because I just want to make the best thing possible. Now I understand. I'm like, oh man, the more time we spend, the more money it costs.
Yeah.
So I understand the other side of things better now.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, would you? I would say out of all the projects now, not the ones that like you have full creative control over. What was your favorite one to be a part of? Whether it was just like the podcast or just kind of appearing in this like RT short. Like, what was the one where when they asked you to do it, you jumped on board immediately?
So tangential kind of, not one of my projects. I don't know if this is the exact. Anytime going to any conventions, I always enjoyed because I like to travel and meet people. So anytime there's an opportunity to do that, I was always up for.
So
I got to see, lots of parts of the world that I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to see because of Rooster Teeth. So there's that. And then anything that just felt like something I wouldn't normally get to do in real life. Like I don't know, as an example, like stuff like immersion was always fun to be in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've directed a lot of immersions and worked on the creative behind it, and that's a lot. Directing is it's fun. I like doing it, but it's a lot more stressful, right? The shoots aren't quite as fun because you're balancing a lot. If you're just acting in something, then it is kind of wish fulfillment in a lot of ways, where it's like, oh, I'm on a water hoverboard with paintballs trying to shoot at my friends, dressed up in as Star Wars rebels. Like that's kind of a weird thing, but that stuff is fun. It's like it's a really really elaborate recreation of a video game. It's like that's just cool stuff to be in, right?
Yeah.
So those kind of things, I was always like, let's do it.
Yeah, because you had done that immersion, and then you also had done the Hitman one, at least in front of the camera.
Hitman, and then there was also, I mean, I did a couple. I was always like the B unit, right? Like, because Michael and Gavin were so great as the main lab rats, but for the the extra version, it's like I think me and Blaine did several, and those are again, it was just fun. And then, any project that I just thought was cool, right? I mean, you just see something cool happening, and you'd be like, "Hey, let me know if you have any spot. If you need any help, I'm around."
Yeah, and by the way, really relating it to the convention really quick. So we had met at an RTX. You were walking the floor, and I was probably 16 or 17, and I asked to just take a photo, and you were you were clearly going somewhere. You took a second, you took a photo, and I was like, "This is so awesome, thank you." And all I remember is you going, "This is a lot," and then you like walked away, and I was like, "That was great."
Did I say it to you?
I think you just meant in general. You're like, "There's so much going on right now," because I think we're in a very packed place. But I was like, I got the photo, and I was like, "That was a great interaction."
Sorry, that was probably, I don't know what year that was.
I think I went probably in 17.
Okay, yeah, it was probably pretty busy, and I was like, "Oh, this." If I came off directed at you, it wasn't.
No, I was like, I know this guy probably has 1,000 things, and he's taking a photo with a 17-year-old right now. Like, he's probably like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a really funny, but also probably genuine moment from me where I was like, "Oh man, this is a lot."
Now, one of the things I also like, I'm always curious about, because again, you being such a key part to just me doing this and all the humor and so is, what was maybe, because you mentioned earlier that project that you pitched that you're like, I really wish they would have gotten that one? Or is there an idea you pitched that like long term, you're like, yeah, thank God they didn't pick that one. That was probably
No, I mean there's a bunch of projects that I would really want to get made. A couple movies. I mean, I think actually the reason you mentioned like how I ended up writing, working on the script for Laser Team is because I was pitching movies of my own, and shows, script. So, and then you're like, man, this kid really wants to write something and get something made. All right, let's throw him at Laser Team. So yeah, I mean, there's several movies. One thing, there were several iterations of sequels to A Simple Walk into Mordor that we pitched, and we ended up doing a sequel for the 20th anniversary projects, which was, we recreated The Hobbit and went back to New Zealand, but we had other versions that were completely different concepts. But again, it's about the how big the idea is and how much they cost, right? So certain things are prohibitively expensive sometimes. But that being said, there's still, I mean, since even going independent, I've been working with Carrie Shawcross and Nick Newton from Simple Walk, and we've been trying to get another one done, and it's not not Lord of the Rings focused. That we plan to try and shoot that sometime soon. We just got to figure it out. It's like,
yeah. I can tell you're kind of bouncing around, not trying to say which. I'm guessing it's based off of a film.
Huh?
I'm guessing it's based off of a film. The next kind of idea.
I'll just say it's based off an IP, broadly speaking.
That's fair.
But I think it's a really good. Conceptually, it works really well. But again, I mean, it's the same as it was at Rooster Teeth in a lot of ways. It's like, what's the right way to get this made? Where it's not always like, and Rooster Teeth, it wasn't like, here's this thing, okay, cool, go make it.
Yeah.
If it cost money, then you had to find the way for it. You have to really sell it or find a sponsor to help fund it. A lot of stuff I got at Rooster Teeth was made because I just went and made it.
Oh wow.
Like, I was big on to like show, don't tell, or show. It's easier to show something, or like a proof of concept. So again, when I was talking about like when I had free time at Rooster Teeth, I'd just go like, all right, hey, I'd write something like, hey, let's go shoot this thing, and that's go small, don't take up a lot of resources, and just make something. So it was that kind of thing where just go make it, and then same thing with like some shows where it could be hard to get stuff made because there's a lot of different ideas and people look at budgets, and so there are several shows where I just did like a proof of concept where I was like, hey, on a day when there are people, put stuff together I'd look at what resources were available that wouldn't cost money, just people's time, and if you could find a day where things were slow, then people will work with you on like getting it made, because if they don't if there's not something being shot, then they're more willing to they can make it happen. So as long as you're not actively spending money, you could get stuff made. Like that's the simple Social Disorder, the pilot for that, I shot on a weekend, and without telling, I was like, hey, let's do this. I have a proof of concept I want to shoot, and we just put it together, shot it, edited it, and then was like, hey, y'all want to do the show? And I just like literally just presented it as it was done.
Because we will be relating back to that project in a little bit. Now, was one of the projects that was an easy sale, or who came up with the original concept for Black Box Down?
That was I want to say Gus or Dennis, the producer for the show, and that was I was not originally attached to Black Box Down. It was Adam Ellis was the co-host for it, and they actually recorded a pilot with Adam. And I remember Gus telling me about that concept, and I was like, Gus, I think that's a great idea. I was just like really, I was like, I think this is a really good idea for a show. I'm really excited to hear it. I was just very like excited about it. I wasn't trying to I wasn't pitching myself to be on it, because Adam was already attached to it. I was just like, I think this is awesome. I'm genuinely stoked to see. You you can be a fan of shows within the company you work for. Yeah, but then Adam ended up leaving the company. He got a different job, and I can't remember exactly this, but I think he got another job and ended up leaving the company. So then they're like, "Hey, Chris, would you want to do a recording? Because you're so excited about this, would you be interested in?" Again, I don't think it was like, "Hey, do you want to be the co-host?" I was like, "Hey, do you want to record an episode and see how it goes?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely," because I was again a fan of it on concept and even the pilot that was recorded. So yeah, I always felt very lucky and privileged to be a part of that show because I thought it was just a great idea and just really well done.
So, talking about things that you were very proud of, or so, I'm gonna take it in a slightly different direction.
Things I'm not proud of.
Yeah, right. I want to know. I'm gonna say a title, and I just want to know your kind of first reaction when I say it.
Okay.
So, just your first reaction when I say Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Oh, is that the prank one?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was gonna say when that happened, like I just got to know because clearly they had to hide so much from you. Is that something you look back now like, oh, that was funny, or do you look back and you're like, that was fucked up? Like that was.
I mean, I appreciated the extent of it. It's like it's all in good fun, right? You got to be able to take it if you're going to dish it out, right?
That's quite a big dish. That's quite big.
Yeah, well, and so it was like one of those things. It's like surprising in the moment, but then also afterwards, I think he was like wrapping it up, and I was like, Blaine, at this point the visage is broken, and I'm like, hey Blaine, do you need any pickups? I could do, do you want to do another take? He's like, no.
What a professional. What a professional.
But I was like, hey, do you need any pickups? Do you want to do it again or do any other? I'm happy. Because again, I want things to be the best I can. I want to help support my coworkers. And yeah, did it like sting a little? Sure. I thought speaking of the whole premise of that was me going to LA to pitch a movie I wanted to get made. So you talk about projects that never got made, right? Yeah. So yeah, but like, that's I didn't take it personally. Like I
quite the shock probably.
It was just surprising, but like that's again, you got to be able to take it if you're going to dish it out. And it's all good fun.
So, because you mentioned someone that you work with very closely, this is just something I think is very just funny to ask. If you say $1 million is on the line right now, if you had to take a guess, what is Blaine Gibson doing right
now? He's probably working out with Eric Bador.
That all he just does, just always working out.
No, he works out with Eric Bador a lot in the like late mornings. Like he'll get up and do stuff, and then have a workout break, and then I don't know, and then go back to work. I know it's scheduled pretty well because we work so closely on 2 different shows. So I know I might be wrong, but he does I think he'd be done. Actually, he'd probably be done now. He'd probably be eating lunch. But yeah, Blaine will wake up, do some work, and then have a little workout break, and him and Eric work out together, and then he'll, if I had to guess, something along those lines.
So now we haven't really mentioned that Rooster Teeth shut down for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you've gone independent, I guess one thing I'd be very curious about is if Bernie Burns would have called you today saying, hey, we want you, maybe not back, but we would want you to collaborate on a project. Is that something you would be open to?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I would totally work with Bernie on stuff. I always liked working with Bernie. Bernie's such just a creative powerhouse, and it was always just fun to work with. If it was, hey, do you want your job back? Then I don't know if I would say that because I have my own thing going now. But I would love to, I would love to work with Bernie again and also, do projects with Rooster Teeth. Does that make sense? The same
No,
way,
absolutely, yeah.
I'm. It's the same way I still go and I work on stuff with Zach Ganner, my friend who I've worked with since college. We'll go and collaborate on stuff for his YouTube channel and all this stuff. It's I just like making cool stuff with cool people. So and I'm with Rooster Teeth being relaunched. I was my thought on it was awesome. Like I was really happy that Bernie, one, was able to, and two, executed on it because now all that content, it's not just in a vault. It's now got a second life. And there's a lot of projects that I worked really hard on that I want people to be able to see. And now there's a place for them to see it.
Which one of those was the sequel to A Simple Walk into Mordor, which I never even really thought about until you said it, is when it shut down, like, I imagine you don't have a hard drive with every episode. So that would have just been, or maybe you do.
Well, I do.
Okay. No,
but yeah, no, I did my best to try and archive as much of my work as, it was essentially my life work was I had to try and archive it as quickly as possible. Because I didn't know what was going to be shut down. When Machinima, if you remember Machinima from earlier YouTube days, that's kind of where a lot of the Funhouse crew came from. They worked at Machinima, and whenever that company was shuttered, they shut down the entire YouTube channel and everything, and it was just gone. Like, and I don't know why they did that because they could have just left it on and had, passive income. But for whatever reason, they just shut everything down, and all that work that people had made was just like erased from the internet. Now, if they had backups at home, then maybe they'd exist. But like, we didn't know what was going to happen.
You can't put it out or anything.
Yeah. And so I was just trying to like archive as much stuff for my own self, for my own personal reel, if I ever wanted to show someone something or cut together whatever. I wanted to try and back up as much as I could. So even like straight downloading from the Internet Archive, like the community did a really good job of like just archiving stuff, and because again, just like no one knew what was going to happen. So yeah, but with that project in particular, that was the thing that we were really, really proud of. I think it's one of the best. I think it's the best, certainly reality thing I've ever made. Documentary. I think it's better than the first one. It's more intense. It's bigger and just like, but it kind of came out at the tail end of the company being shut down. I wish it could have gotten a more time in the spotlight and a little more marketing behind it, because we were really proud of it.
Well, it's great that it's back up, that people who who are still fans and the new ones coming on are able to enjoy that content, because it really is amazing. You guys put a lot of work into that.
Yeah, and then I think that's again going back to Bernie getting the restarting Rooster Teeth, was like there's so many, hundreds and hundreds of hours of my life where I'm like, okay, cool, it's alive. It's not in a vault.
And real quick, you had mentioned like with the company shutdown or so. To quickly touch on, because I know you've probably told this story a handful of times, getting the information while you're getting a massage is maybe the most polar opposite situations you could be in.
Well, and again, so we would have these company, like every quarterly, I think, all hand meetings, and they were long. They were like 2-hour meetings, and there were times where I would if I was talking about a project where I would present something or whatever. But a lot of the time, it's just kind of like, you listen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you listen and watch, and so sometimes I'd be like doing stuff in the background, like washing dishes and listening. Okay, yeah, so this department's doing this. Okay, yeah, this policy is changing. Whatever, listening. And I would I also, from working on a computer, get really like the carpal tunnel tension stuff in my shoulders and arms. So I was like, and a massage sometimes really help the physical pain of that. So it's like, okay, it was hard to sometimes schedule in the middle of the day, but I was like, oh, I've got this all hands meeting. It's going to be like 2 hours long, and I'm just going to be sitting there listening to what's going on. All right, I'm going to get a massage.
Which I can only imagine, because I imagine you had a speaker. I don't know if you had headphones in or something.
I had headphones on. Yeah. So
Okay.
the masseuse had no idea what was going on. It's awfully fidgety and tense.
So since that happening, I have some quick fires, and then I really want to get into Stinky Dragon and Good Morning from Hell.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of going off of like if Bernie were to call you or whatever, whoever is in charge of these shows, if they were to call you, would you do another season of them? I have 3 of them for you.
Okay.
If you got the call to do another season of Arizona Circle.
Yes. Without a
fact.
doubt.
Get
fact. It depends on who was on board with me. Yes. If I had good people with me. I'd be like, who else is working on it?
Okay,
I don't want to do it by
you need a
myself.
little bit of convincing. A little bit of...
No, it's super fun to do. But it was I would just want to make it's a very collaborative show. And so I'd have to make sure that other people were on board.
And a spot of science.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, all 3. I mean, I generally did stuff that I liked doing,
Mm-hmm.
Spot of Science was super fun. That was, just fun content,
So now talking about Tales of Stinky Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you pitch the show to someone who doesn't know Dungeons and Dragons at all?
Tales of Stinky Dragon is a comedy podcast telling a fantasy story that's family friendly, using D&D. So it's a fantasy adventure, but with a full sound design and original score. So it's really an immersive experience. So you put it on and you're hearing voice actors. You're hearing it's like a full radio play, but comedy and fantasy and friends having fun.
See, and that's one thing is because while I was listening to the show and getting involved into it, I actually didn't even really notice the family-friendly aspect until I was kind of like doing a little bit more research, where it's just one of those things that I didn't pinpoint, but I was like, oh yeah, like, these guys who made some very bold content when I was watching when I was 13.
I wouldn't say that my entire catalog is family-friendly, but yeah. Well, it originally wasn't family-friendly.
Okay.
So we started recording it. I think we were about 8 or 10 episodes in. And I was like, hey, I remember I was like, I clocked on me that I was like, we're randomly throwing in some F-bombs and just, random curse words, but I didn't really feel like it was integral to what was being done. Like it didn't necessarily, it didn't elevate it. It wasn't needed. And I was like, hey guys, I think the show would be better if we were family friendly. It would just be more accessible. I don't think us cursing is adding anything to it because the content is pretty, just fantasy. And so I was the one who I think who pitched to the group. Was like, hey, let's try and stop cursing. And so but for a long time, the first 10 episodes or so had a lot of random curse words in it. And then we went back and cleaned them up after the fact.
And then how was that perceived with the group? Because you do collaborate with a lot of people who came from your RT days. So was that kind of something where it was like, oh, that's kind of a different kind of avenue?
It didn't change the content. That was the thing. I was like, we could make this family friendly without changing the content at all. We just have to stop cursing. That's pretty much it. Because again, the content wasn't like mature in any way. It was
Yeah.
just, a good adventure, a good fantasy adventure. And so I think everyone was pretty open to it whenever I brought it up because I was like, oh yeah, it really isn't. It doesn't impact
The
it's not
story or
changing
anything
the
like that.
content. It's not changing what we're doing. It's just changing uh, a habit of, hey, don't curse.
Yeah. And
So and
then
now we're a little more active about it. Like now that now that we've like embraced it. And again, it's not, we don't make it for kids. It's not, we just make a show that we think is funny.
yeah.
We just make sure that it's not prohibitive to people who have families. So you can put it on in the car with, a kid and they can enjoy it and you can enjoy it. Because I think there's a lot of really great D&D content out there, but a lot of it is, pretty mature.
Mhm.
But D&D is something that it's fun for anyone of all ages. So again, we're not dumbing it down for kids. We're just making it so that you can listen with kids.
Yeah. No, and that's really great. And that's why, like, again, something I kind of noticed was like that sort of shift and pivot, it doesn't affect the content. Where,
Yeah.
again, if we go back to RT, if you were to go to the Achievement Hunter branch and be like, hey guys, don't curse in Minecraft anymore.
Yeah.
Little different. A little.
Yeah. Well, and I think I was already doing different types, doing different types of content. I was doing Black Box Down at the time, which I felt like was content that was for Rooster Teeth, but also for a lot of people outside of Rooster Teeth. And I don't think, that was another one where it's like, we don't have to we don't have to be part of the instilled into like the Rooster Teeth or Achievement Hunter brand. This could be its own thing. And so I think it was that kind of thinking. It's like, well, what's going to make this the most accessible as possible to people?
Yeah. And then that kind of delves into you guys do the puppet stories, which, correct me if I'm wrong, someone who I'm blanking on right now just made them because they were just a fan of the show. And you're like, hey, we can do something with these.
Yeah, it was so John and Micah Reisinger. Micah is the main writer and editor and composer, and then John Reisinger, who's one of the main cast members. Their mom made them.
Oh.
They were just dolls. They're dolls. They're not made them because she was, her kids were making the show and she was a fan of them. And
Yeah.
we knew the show was good, but and it had a consistent fan base. People were going back every week to listen to it, but we needed bigger numbers because it was an expensive show and it was going to get canceled. And so we were like, but we know this show is good. We just got to market it better. And so we were coming up with ideas on how could we market it. And I think it was Barbara who was like, oh, we have these puppets. Maybe we could do like I think her initial pitch was more like the Harry Potter Potter play friend. I don't know if that old internet video where they're just kind of just like,
Oh, yeah.
like very, very kind of
Probably
like
back on that one. I haven't thought about that in a couple of years.
but like something along those lines. And then me and Blaine were like, okay, that's a great idea, but let's do it let's go all out on it. And then that's that really helped help the show, get popular.
And speaking of Blaine, obviously your other big show, Good Morning from Hell.
Yeah.
Which, with that, I mean, well, first of all, I just have to know, when you guys do the videos or so, how long does it take him to get all red? Because that is very impressive.
Yeah.
Do you help him with it? Is that like you guys?
No, I don't think he wants me touching his face. No, I mean he hates getting in the red makeup. He absolutely hates it. So, yeah. You ever gotten red paint out of your ears? I've gotten my face. I've done full face, body makeup stuff before. It sucks. You are cleaning that stuff out for a week, and it takes so much time, and then it's so bad to try and get off. And so we were always very, very specific and intentional with when we did stuff in person. So initially Blaine did it more like at Rooster Teeth when there was more people to help apply the makeup, and we were doing it more for video. But then for the actual podcast itself, because it's an audio podcast, Blaine doesn't really do the makeup very much, if at all. Like we did a live show at Homebrew, and he wore a Zentai suit where he only had to do the front part of it. He didn't have to do the full back into his ears and neck and all that. He just had to do the front of his face, and he's more willing to do that. And again, I don't blame him for it. It sucks. But yeah, I think that with that show, it's like we really try and focus on the audio experience. We try and set full sound design, just create. It really gives you a lot of creative freedom. Because we can kind of go anywhere and do anything because we're not having to build sets, right? We can tell any story we want. We can, we have an episode, depending on, I don't know when this is coming out, but the episode that's coming out on this next week is we go to the Upside Down and we interview a Demogorgon. And it's like, and we have a full sound design for that. It's just really fun, and we can do that because it's an audio podcast. We had Matt Holm on it from Sarge from Red vs. Blue. He's my old boss. He came on as a Demogorgon, but the whole bit was we were in the Upside Down, but it was also kind of like Australia, so he was doing an Australian accent, and just a lot of Stranger Things and Australian euphemisms.
Now, is there a character that has not appeared yet that you like really would be excited to get on the show and have someone be played by them?
Oh, we have a whole list of characters because it's really easy to we'll be like, we'll randomly have an idea for a character, and so we just have a list of historical figures or pop culture things, or like. And then whenever we find someone, we're like, oh, who would be good on? We meet someone who's funny. We're like, hey, do you want to be on our podcast? And we're like, we'll go through our list, like, oh, who could they be? So it's it's a fun process trying to, or sometimes we'll have a specific idea. It's like, oh yeah, it's like we had one specifically. We wanted to, let's see here, what was it?
Oh, I'm getting a little bit of the pulling up the list. I feel honored. It's kind of cool.
No. This is just like our process. We had an episode. This is one that has already come out. We were like, oh, we really want to do a Guy Fawkes episode.
Okay.
And so we were like, because Guy Fawkes Day is bigger, more of a European holiday. But we were like, that'll be a fun history one. And we were like, oh yeah, who would be good for that? Oh. Let's hit up Gavin because he's British, So it's like so sometimes we'll have an idea for a character and then we'll go to someone who we think will be good for it, or sometimes we'll find someone who's funny and we're like, oh hey, do you want to be on the show? And we'll pitch them like 3 different ideas, right? And be like, hey, which of these speaks to you? Which one sounds the most fun to you? And then we'll just go from there. Like, I mean, I don't mind. We have some ones that are coming up. We really want to do one. We want to have Mrs. Frizzle from
Magic School Bus.
Where it's like she's in hell because of all the kids and the trauma that she put her kids through by, going inside of like there's a kid who got left inside of. The body of who didn't get back on the bus when they were shrunken inside of one of the kids, and she had to fight her way through. It's like she just like go through those stories.
That's fucking great.
And it's like we had that idea, and we were like, oh man, I really want to do that episode. And then so I think we were like, oh, who could do that? I think we're gonna get Elise Willems to do it.
That would be awesome.
She was like, I haven't seen Magic School Bus, but yes.
Well, good thing is, were they like 15-minute episodes? Watch one, you've seen them all.
Really, yeah. But they're insane too. But like it's just stuff like that. It's like random stuff that comes to your mind, and you could kind of do that with that show. just go anywhere.
Now, kind of speaking broadly, and this is overarching whatever project you want to relate this to, and even before when you were like in film school doing like the 24-hour films that Bernie and Matt saw, as someone who is trying to build their own Rooster Teeth, because this is what you guys have inspired me to do, what is, in general, something that you would take away from all your experience, knowing what is like the best thing you've learned over all that time?
I guess follow the fun. If something is fun, if you're having fun, it comes off on camera, and people react to that. And so yeah, follow the fun and then pivot. I was talking my dad was talking. I was talking to my dad over Christmas. He's like, "Yeah, I don't envy you having to constantly try and figure out the next internet trend or thing and try and make it work." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not just shooting like blindfolded, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like we make stuff and then if it hits, then you follow it, right? And then it's like it's like constantly experimenting, but like educated experimentation. So you're like looking at what's working. All right, what can we do with what resources do I mean? That was the thing. I'd always like, what do I have around me that I can use and that I have that maybe someone doesn't have, or a resource that would stand out. I don't know. Follow the fun and yeah, be experimental, but with through an educated lens.
Now, from also all the projects you've worked on, has there been anything, whether it was a set, the company shut down, or even the stuff you're working on now, that you've maybe taken and that you have kind of hidden away somewhere or in your room or somewhere?
Oh, yeah. Stuff I have. Yeah. From Rooster Teeth. Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You steal anything good? This is so cool to me.
No. Yeah. I mean, nothing like, I wasn't like, nothing like illegal type stuff. It's just, when the company was shutting down, there was stuff that was like, mementos and things that are like, hey, does anyone want this? Or like just stuff that was going to get tossed or whatever. I'm trying to think. What do I have? I mean, there's, yeah. One of my favorites is, I don't know if it's visible or if it was ever on camera, but there was a painting of the dramatic hamster. Dun, dun, dun.
I think, wasn't that on the podcast set?
It might have been on the podcast set. Anyway.
It sounds really familiar. I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that was just like laying around. I was like, well, I'm going to take this. I'm going to put it on my wall. Just because I was like, that's cool. Like, and it wasn't just a print of the meme. It's like an actual painting. Someone painted it.
Oh,
it's
really?
Like, yeah.
See,
so it's in my hallway.
See, that's one of those things where, again, I watched the content for years. If you had told me, I would have think that was just a printed photo on.
So did I. And then I was like going through stuff where, again, it was just gonna get. It was just gonna get, donated or
how
trashed.
Many years? And it took until the company shutting down for you to walk up to the photo.
Yeah, because I just assumed it was a print, but actually, whenever I was looking, I was like, yeah, I always liked that. I always thought that was a funny little like prop, and I was like, oh wait, this is like actually like painted. Like there's brush strokes in it, and it's like very detailed. It's really well done. Because when you think about that video is like so low res. If you were to print it out, it would look like butt.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I like that's one of my. I like that memento. It's like I see it every day because it's in my hallway.
See,
a lot of little things like that, like I don't know. I'm looking around, but just stuff,
See, and that's one thing I've always am like curious about is like, again, you watch all this content and you're a part of it is, though, the company shut down is coming back, there has been one person who, Ray, when he streams on Twitch, always mentions that it's was just kind of a job at the end of the day. Like, obviously, you guys had fun and it was a great time, but at the end of the day, you had to go to work and do your job.
Yeah.
And he had done a tour recently of his office, and he has like an X-ray and VAV poster up. And I guess I never correlated to you guys made it. I guess you're also a fan of what you make. So like, there's still that. Like, I doubt you walk by that painting and you think about the times you're on the podcast and either you're telling stories of how you got lost in New York or something like that. It was
yeah. No, I mean that was the thing. I was a fan of a lot of the stuff, like stuff I wasn't actively involved in. I could still be a fan of. I have a RTAA poster in my office right over there because I always was a huge fan of that show. And I was in it some, but it didn't matter if I was in it or not. I just thought it was a great show. Like the animation was so much fun. I just loved it. And that was one of those things whenever I was like, the company shutting down, I found an old RTAA poster and I'm like, oh, I want this. I'm putting it on my wall. You know? So yeah, I mean, that's one thing with the closure of Rooster Teeth, there was a lot of, so many other smaller companies now in Austin doing their own thing. Like I was, and it's awesome, because we all still kind of collaborate and help each other share resources. I was on 100% Eat on Tuesday, because I'd found out that the Torchies had a gold queso card where you get unlimited queso for a year. And I was texting them about it, and I was like, you guys should go get it. It's like a really good deal. And then they're like, Michael got it, and then he's like, "Hey, could you come talk to? Do you want to come?" So I just went and went and had Torchies with them. But it's like, again, we're still like collaborating and like working together and like being on each other's stuff, because it's like the only difference is we're in different spaces now. Like we're not in the same building, but
and
it's still same. It's still a bunch of creative people making stuff that they want to make, and so that's cool.
And I guess, just to more out of curiosity, besides the Stinky Dragon and the Good Morning from Hell, from RT, who would you say that you talk to the most out of, again, besides people you actively collaborate with?
I talk to Josh Flanagan and Zach Anner a lot. And Zach Anner was never a full-time employee, but he was, a constant, he was on a lot of content. But yeah, I talked to them because I worked with them in college. And I still work with them on stuff, and it's the same, the same thing where Josh Flanagan, he just finished up a comedy movie about pickleball, and I was like helping him with the edit on that, not actually editing it, but giving notes and trying to things like that. So it's just like friends that you collaborate with, and whether or not you may not be actively working on the project, but you still work together and help each other. So those two are probably I talk to the most out of the most often, but I'm trying to think. I mean, it and I probably talked to Nick Newton from Simple Walk in Mordor a lot, because he's also helping. He does a lot of work on Good Morning from Hell and Stinky Dragon, so I worked with him, and then we're also, like I mentioned, trying to get a spiritual sequel to Simple Walk made, and so I'm working with him and Carrie on the project. So it's like it's just working on stuff, and like we recorded that Good Morning from Hell with Matt, and Matt was like, "Oh, hey, let's talk some creative ideas." It's just like we're just talking about making stuff. It's like you find people that you work well with, you want to keep working with them.
And then this will be my last question. We're gonna wrap up. Was it interesting reaching out to Matt, knowing he was your old, like, did you still have that mentality of like,
no,
this is kind of like my boss? Oh, he totally went away, just like, hey, I'm texting Matt now.
Matt was always my boss, but also he was always my friend, and he, so and we work together and stuff, and I like working with Matt, and I so yeah, and I didn't feel anyway like, oh, it's my old boss, because he was he was a friend too, and a collaborator. So yeah.
Well, that's really cool. And yeah, I believe this is coming out next Friday. So I
Okay.
believe Matt's episode should be out.
Yeah, it should be out this Monday. Yeah, so the same week.
So if I can just quickly again, I cannot show enough gratitude to you coming on and doing this. You were such a crucial part of me kind of not being afraid to go out and do it. And for reference, I fully have like the Laser Team poster up on my wall to this day. And I did have a friend over, and when I mentioned that I was getting you on, I quickly pointed at the poster. I'm like, that's him, because your name's on the poster. I was like, that's him. And it's just genuinely an honor. And cool. I'm so like, I love the stuff you're making now, and it's so great to just, it just seems like you're so happy making everything. And yeah, when Roosty shut down, weirdly enough, was like, what's everyone gonna do, and like the IPs and everything, and to see that everyone's like doing their own things, but they're all succeeding. And personally, I'm a huge fan of Good Morning to Hell. I think it's hilarious.
Thank you.
Is so great, and I don't think I can thank enough like how much you are genuinely like the proudest guest I've had on here. Like
well, thank you. That's
means the world.
Well, it's been fun chatting. And thanks for inviting.
Absolutely. But if you'd like to plug everything, and then we'll wrap this up.
Yeah. If anyone wants to listen to Tales from Stinky Dragon, which if you do not need to listen to D&D to listen to it, it's really just like, that's what some people are like, I don't know D&D. It's like, you don't need to. It's just like storytelling. It's just like listening to friends tell stories, but with full sound designing and a cast and music and a lot of love and hard work put into it. It's search, Tales from Stinky Dragon anywhere you listen to podcasts, or Stinky Dragon pod.com if you want to help support us on Patreon. And if you want to check out our animations or puppet videos or stuff, social media or YouTube. And then for Good Morning from Hell, anywhere you listen to podcasts, just Good Morning from Hell. And follow us on social. goodmorningfromhell.com if you want to Patreon it.
Gotcha. Well, again, thank you so much. Oh, and also your profile picture on Instagram's from you on the spot.
Yeah. I should probably update that. Yeah. Me personally, it's just at Chris Demarais, Demarais, anywhere on social. But yeah, that's an old. I love. That's a good dog. But it's me in a bunny suit holding a pug from On the Spot, and that has been my profile picture on Instagram for too long. I should probably update it.
It was just so great. I'm like, must have loved really being on that show, I guess.
I just like that picture.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you again, Chris. It means the absolute world.
Cool. Well, good luck with everything. You gotta. Seems like you're, following your passion. So I'm excited to see what you make.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you again, and thank you guys for watching.